I'm your host, Carolyn Solo, LCSW, EMDR therapist, and mom of 3 daughters. Thank you for joining me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 108 of the Future Template Parent Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Carolyn Solo, PhD, LCSW, LICSW in Vermont, EMDR therapist, consultant, business coach to therapist, and mom of 3 daughters. It takes me longer and longer to say every time. Today's episode is honestly just going to be a little bit of a ramble because I didn't spend a lot of time outlining this, but I've just been thinking about it. Is kind of AI, ChatGPT, all that stuff, venture capital, therapist platforms, and intensive therapists and where we stand. I think that right now, AI is feeling very scary for therapists. And like when I say AI, I mean like AI, ChatGPT, whatever, replacing therapists. We've all heard you talk about why would anyone pay $200 an hour plus for therapy when they could just ask ChatGPT to tell them what to do or give them some coping skills or have a conversation with them. And AI is getting smarter all the time. Of course, it's built to constantly, machine learning, constantly learn from every response it gets, all the inputs. Can we compete with that? Absolutely we can't in terms of information gathering, processing, spitting back out. But, and I hope a lot of you have been thinking about this, what of course can AI not replace? And that is a real, authentic human relationship. The presence of another human attuning to you, being seen, which is something that all of us truly do want, and that is even harder to get in this day and age of being, behind a screen so much of our time, interfacing with others via screen so much of the time. I think the horrible stuff we see, the horrible ways people talk to each other on social media is, because we're allowed to have anonymity behind a screen because we're not connecting the person on a screen with an actual human being. And therapists and the therapy relationship, we're two human beings genuinely interfacing with each other. My therapist said to me yesterday, and it meant so much, I see you. I see what you hold. I love you. Some people might have thought that's a boundary crossing, but with me and my therapist, it was very heartfelt and very welcome. And she said to me, I won't let you feel like you're disappearing. And of course, I'm not going to disclose what was happening in my own therapy, but I'm telling you, being seen, truly seen by another human being and feeling like I have value and I am loved and I am important and they see me as a human being who has worth. ChatGPT is not going to give that. ChatGPT's mirror neurons are not firing when we're looking at our mirror neurons are not firing when we're getting feedback from ChatGPT. All that to say, this stuff is real, right? I read an article in Wired magazine that scared the bejesus out of me about people having relationships with, and I'm so old that I'm going to be using all the wrong lingo, but basically having a romantic relationship with a chatbot or whatever you want to call them. Like that there's a service that is designed to create this like ideal AI partner, romantic partner. And that partner was able to do a lot of things and was filling a void for a lot of these people. And it scared me because I saw how seductive, in every sense of the word, these relationships can be. And it scared me, for us as human beings, but it also made me think about what does that mean for me as a therapist? And I do think that people will continue going to their handheld devices that are their greatest companions for answers and for support in ways that insulate us from vulnerability that real human relationships give, the messiness of real human relationships. Having a text therapist on BetterHelp that maybe gets back to you when they can and probably is using ChatGPT to give you support and it's very cheap, it is hard for us to compete with that if that's all we're trying to do, right? I do not know enough about machine learning to know this, but it seems a pretty big jump for me for a chatbot to go from offering supportive words and, validation and positive reinforcement and coping skills to deep neurobiological processing of trauma. That's what we're doing. And attunement and attachment. So many of our clients are attachment wounded, and a real human relationship is what they need. That's the healing they need. And a chatbot is not going to supplement that. But if we're not doing something beyond what ChatGPT can provide for someone, then we are in danger of being overtaken in all these ways. But I think if you're just kind of a standard giving coping skills to someone who's having a rough week kind of therapist, yeah, maybe, and you only are virtual and you refuse to see anyone outside of the 4 hours a week that you want to see clients. I think that practices that came into being during COVID, we got to be pretty choosy about exactly how we wanted to run our practices because the need was very high. I think that is shifting, and I think with a lot of people's needs, that their perceived needs being met by, an AI therapist, yeah, that model that maybe we could get away with in 2020, 2021 is no longer going to serve us because that's being replaced by a free service. Therapists need to be flexible, I think. I think some of the old ways of working need to change, and they continue to change. I think about all the budget cuts, the big, beautiful, disgusting bill that is going through, Congress in the United States that's doing away with so much Medicaid support and health insurance changes, and therapists who have insurance-based, Medicaid-based practices are scared, and they have good reason to be. This stuff is not, they're not going to be protected from these changes. So therapists need to be flexible, and intensives are a way that we can insulate ourselves. We're providing something that an AI bot cannot replicate. Because of what these non-human therapy options can offer, people are going to start looking for something different, something better, something unique, something transformative that ChatGPT cannot offer. And therapy intensives are one of those things, right? Think about the healing experience you are offering to clients, and there's no way that can be replicated in the near future. So intensives are insulating your practice from the impact of sort of the intrusion of AI into the therapy field. And I think it's so important that as therapists, we recognize our work is not static. Our field is not static. We need to constantly be investing in ourselves to stay current and relevant, and to be offering a service that we can actually charge, a decent price for. And intensive tick all those boxes. And intensives will continue to set us apart in terms of offerings, especially if we're continuing to create offerings that are so transformative, are so robust, are you could start adding, making them, I always talk about that retreat-like experience. I think that comes hugely into play here, helping craft a week-long intensive therapy retreat that includes massage, that includes yoga, that includes hiking, that includes nourishing meals, that includes a cold plunge, that includes a beautiful Airbnb. There are so many opportunities to create unbelievable healing experiences for clients that are something that they're not going to be able to find, just through their iPhone. So, but I think that it can feel really overwhelming when we're in this world, if we're like, wow, the model that I have been working with, the 50 minutes of EMDR 20 times a week, maybe that's not going to set me apart anymore. Maybe it did, maybe it's not. And maybe we're worried about the sustainability of it, given the changing climate of whether it's AI or, health insurance in this country or whatever. Sees intensives as the way to stay ahead of all of that and to be a therapist who is not replaceable. We know that we're not replaceable, but maybe the clients who are using ChatGPT instead don't. So we need to be speaking to those clients and potential clients and showing them what we can be doing, what we can be offering them that is truly going to create the healing that they're looking for. People are going to ChatGPT and AI because they're lonely, they're scared, they're afraid of, that they're feeling crushed by the weight of everything that this world is bringing to us. Okay, we can offer other options that are truly healing, that involve being in relationship with someone, being vulnerable with someone who truly cares about your well-being and your healing. And so just to remind you all too, something I hear a lot is that, well, the intensives market is saturated. Everybody's doing it. That an intensive, offering intensive isn't actually going to set me apart. That is not true. The market is not saturated yet. It's easy when you're hearing other people talk about intensives. If you know intensive therapists, if you're watching people's social media accounts on intensives, it's easy to think, I'm not going to be offering anything different than that's going to help me stand out. That is not true. Okay. I just talked to a therapist in Florida who is starting to help other therapists learn about intensives, period. That she doesn't know other therapists who are doing intensives, and she's starting to educate them. And that's Florida, right? I know someone in DC who's in my group right now who has reached out to a ton of EMDR therapists she knows to talk about intensives. And the response she most often gets is, oh my gosh, I didn't even know we could do that. These are EMDR therapists, okay? The market is not saturated. There is a place for you still. And now is the time to make that commitment to make your practice stand out, to be different, to stay ahead of, ChatGPT taking over our role. It's not going to happen, but you need to do something about your practice to ensure that you are ahead of the curve. And I think intensives are one of the most profound ways to do that. And also, we have to evolve. We have to change. Our field can feel very old, full of old fuddy-duddies who have never thought about doing anything differently. You need to be part of that change. Clients want something different, or else why would they pay for something that they can get by Googling coping skills for anxiety? Okay. But you need to be able to know how to create that offering, how to make it truly transformative, and how to market it, which is why my group program, it's filling its September cohort, the EMDR Intensive, 12-week intensive. You can be like the people who are in the group now who've only been doing it for a few weeks and already are booking, 5,000, 6,000 3-day intensives. That can be you. There's only 8 spots. I would love for you to have one of them. The link is in the show notes to get on the waitlist. The waitlist sale is the beginning of August, and only people who are on the waitlist will get 1, first access to sign up for the program, and 2, access to some really incredible bonuses that won't be available to people who are not on the waitlist. So click the link in bio to get on the waitlist. I'm very excited to get this program, to continue to broaden the reach of this program, so that the people out there who want to transform their practices, want to AI proof and ChatGPT proof their practices, you can do this in 12 weeks, in less time than that, in my EMDR group. So EMDR Intensive, 12-week intensive, is waiting to welcome you. Just a short little episode there about some of my off-the-cuff thoughts about AI therapy, ChatGPT, and our role in it, and how we intensive therapists can continue to lead the way in terms of showing our field that different is good, different is possible, different is what people need, and different is what is going to keep us relevant. This world is changing, and we can either hide our heads in the sand and pretend it's not, or we can figure out ways to adapt and to continue to offer transformative healing to clients, because people still want that. They're still looking for that when they ask ChatGPT for coping skills for anxiety. And we know that we can do better. Join me in the group so you can be part of the people leading the charge. Take care, everyone. Have a great week.